welcome to another episode. In today's story series, we will be seeing a story all for a piece of loincloth from Tales and Parables of Sri Ramakrishna. The story is All for a Piece of Loincloth. This is a story how one attachment leads to another, one thing leads to another. Finally, we are far away from what we had planned to do. A good story, especially for the spiritually intended people. So, there was a disciple who wanted to realize truth. So, the guru or the master gave him the basic lessons, spent some time with him, and then he had to go away. The earlier times, the people used to travel a lot, the senior monks, to different temples, different places. They don't reside in a place for a long. And so this monk gave him all the basic lessons and told him I had to go for some years, a year or two, so I'll be back, but I'm finding you a place. He took him to a place outside a village, little bit distant, a decent distant from the village, in a forest, the outskirts of a forest, at the beginning of the forest, so that he is not quite away from the village. Why he has to beg his food? He can't prepare his food. He was supposed to beg his food, the leftovers, and eat it and survive. And he is not in the village, so that he is not attracted by the things of the village. So he was a little bit away from the village, but his basic things are taken care of. He is a sort of a beginner. So this young monk was left in the forest nearby that village, and the master went away. And the young monk did all the meditation practices, yoga and everything, what his master has instructed. He was doing all this, and his only possession is a thatched hut which he has built for himself, and 2 pieces of loin cloth. One he wore on his person, and another he washed it and kept it dry, allowed it to dry. So these 2 pieces of loin cloth and a begging bowl, that were only his possessions. So every day he used to go to the village, beg for his food, and continue his practice. So this was a routine he was having. And one day it happened, when he came back, he saw that his piece of loin cloth was torn. So next day after the bath, he had nothing to wear. The rats have torn it into pieces. So he had to beg for a loin cloth, small piece of cloth from the village. This happened quite often. So apart from his food, he had to beg for a piece of cloth, so that he had a spare loin cloth to wear. And the villagers said, Swamiji, every time we had to give you food and a piece of loin cloth also, that is not possible. So do one thing, we will give you a cat. You rear it up, bring it up, so that it will take care of the rats. So from that day on, the young monk brought the cat from the villages, and he brought it there to his hut, and it was good. The cat was taking care of all the rats, and his loincloth was safe now. But he had to do one thing. He had to beg for milk for the cat. He was attached to the cat very much. But apart from eating the rat, the cat also asked for milk. All the cats like milk. He had to feed the cat with milk. So he had to beg from the villagers milk every day. And as the days went by, the villagers told every day we had to give you food. And apart from this, we had to give you milk. And that is not possible because milk is not something which is going to be wasted. They are going to make it into curd or ghee. So it is never wasted. It goes into a cycle. So they can't give milk every day. So we will do one thing. We will give you a cow. Take the cow. You rear it up so that your cat can get a milk. So the monk thought this is a good idea. Why I had to beg for milk? I can take this cow and keep it in my hut so that I also can take milk and the cat also will have abundant supply of milk. So he took the cow and he was rearing it up, bringing it up, and he was having abundant quantity of milk. The cat was satisfied, he was satisfied, but there was one problem. Now he had to beg for straw because he had to feed the cow. He can't allow it to wander in the forest. Some wild animals may get at it. So he had to take care of the cow. So apart from his food, every time he begged for the straw. And again, as the days went by, the villagers told again, you can't beg for straw. We can't give you straw every day. That is not possible. So do one thing. There is abundant land nearby your hut, uncultivated. You can cultivate a piece of land so that you have supply of rice and straw. So rice will feed you, the straw can feed the cow. So everything is taken care of. So you can do that. So they supplied the basic things for tilling the soil. The monk took it, began to do cultivation of crops, paddy, some basic vegetables. So no longer he had to beg for the food. He had his own supply of food. And his cat had enough milk. The cow had enough straw. He had enough food. It was a satisfied life, but he required somebody to take care of the cow, the paddy field, everything. He could not do it alone. So he took a maid servant. The people told him, we can't come and help you every time. So take care of him. Your work can be taken care by a maid servant. So as the days rolled by, he can't pay the maid servant. So ultimately he got married to her. Then they had children. He had workers because the land he cultivated became more. He cultivated more and more to take care of his wife and children. So he had to take servants. And soon he became a sort of a landlord. A lot of land which is being cultivated. He had a wife, 2 children, some workers. So he was doing all this. And he had time only for this. He was a busy man, taking care of his land, his cattle. Cattle have grown in number, and his cat, dog. everything. So he became a landlord, sort of. And as this was happening, a few years went by, and the master was coming back to the village to see how his disciple monk, the junior monk, was doing. He came to the same place, he remembered the place, but he could not find that small hut. Now it was a big mansion, and there were a lot of workers, and everything was busy like a typical household. So he asked one of the servants, "What is happening? I had a young disciple here. Where is he?" The worker was unable to reply. So the master went straight inside. And as soon as he went inside, he saw his disciple as a landlord who fell at his feet. The senior monk asked him, "What is happening, my boy? You were supposed to be practicing all the meditation techniques and yoga, and now you are like a landlord. You are a landlord. You have land, wife, kids. What has happened?" The disciple replied, "It's all for a piece of loincloth, master," and fell at his feet. So, moral of the story: one thing leads to another. One small thing. It starts with a small thing, just taking care of this loincloth, which ended up into a huge family and fields and workers. That's how, whatever your goal, be steadfast in achieving them. Don't get diverted into small things. Small things lead to one another, and you end up far away from your goal, whatever you plan to achieve. So that is the moral of the story, and especially this applies to spiritual people and to others also. So with this, we will end this episode. Stay with me for another episode. Subscribe to my channel. Share this video. Thank you.